Hi everyone, hope you are doing well. In video, this video is about the Revit, right? We have started this series about the Autodesk Revit software where we will try to see how to use this software and where to utilize this. And we will share some industrial experiences as well in order to understand the software and its requirements in the industry. So I hope this video series would be very beneficial to the beginners as well and to the ones who want to just start using the Revit as a software tool in BIM industry or in construction industry, or whether you are a civil engineer, structural engineer, architect, this software is going to help you. So with this tool, Autodesk Revit, we can create the 3D models, right? We create those models in the software, and then we can present those models in terms of documents, right? We can document the things and create a construction drawing out of that 3D model, and we can present sections, elevations, plan views, whatever you want to create. This software is going to help you. And moreover, this software has that capability of, this is actually a data driven software as well. For example, this software will help those industries as well who are data based industries. For example, if someone wants to create a 3D model and create just the construction drawings and store the information that is coming out of those elements or families and save those parameters somewhere, right, in the form of different formats, then it that data which has been built out of this can be transmitted or transferred to other systems as well, so that we can interlink other systems as well. This is a little bit advanced topic, so but I want here to focus on the basics of Revit so that we can learn it in a different way. And here I am going to utilize my experiences as well in order to make you understand the software. And today our topic is about, now let me share my screen so that it is visible to you. And I have already created one video, and it was a little introduction. Today's topic is also an introduction to the Revit things and elements and other things as well. So these two or three videos would be introductory videos, and then we would start building our videos based on the Revit. We will take help of the Revit software itself, so that we can guide you how we can, you know, go and took a deep dive in learning it. So let's be with me. So today's topic is about the elements in Revit. In Revit, see, if you want to create anything in general life, right? For example, you want to construct a small office building or small room, then in order to make that room, in order to construct that room, you need bricks, right? You need windows, you need some rebars, right? You need floors, you need walls, you need foundation. You need to create that foundation, construct the foundation first, and then upon the foundation we create a brick wall. So here, wall is a sort of element, foundation is an element there, one of the elements. Similarly, roof is one of the element, floor is one of the elements. Then the the windows and other things, those are the elements, the ducts, right, the sinks that we create and other things. So out the elements make our model, the elements make our building, the elements make our office building, right, office room. So in order to create something, construct something, model something, we need elements. Similarly, the concept of elements in Revit is the similar sort of, like, we need to create an actual 3D model in Revit, but for that 3D model, we actually need elements that would build that model. For example, if you want to create a 3D model, we need walls, we need windows, doors, roofs, structural walls, slabs, ramps, sinks, boilers, and so on. So in Revit, we have those elements, right? So we will deal with those elements, and if we want to, the elements, these Revit elements have been categorized further, right? And out of which this is these are called as, the first category is called as model elements. Model elements are those elements which make our model, the real 3D model. For example, wall, window, door, roof, and slabs, ramps, sinks, sprinklers, electrical panels. Those are actually the 3D elements which make the 3D model, the bigger one, right? The building or anything. So model elements are those elements which actually may make our 3D model or the structure. And then we have another category of Revit elements that is called as datum elements. And this datum elements, these are actually the skeleton, kind of skeleton का मतलब आप इससे भी समझ सकते हो कि एक ढांचा है, ढांचा जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं। कोई भी चीज बनाने के लिए आपको एक ढांचे ढांचे की जरूरत है, आपको रेफरेंसेस की जरूरत है। फॉर एग्जांपल, आपको एक बिल्डिंग तैयार करनी है, यू नीड सम सॉर्ट ऑफ रेफरेंस, एंड दैट रेफरेंस इज फर्स्ट द अर्थ। यू नीड अर्थ so that you can build something on it. Similarly, we need some references in Revit, in software as well. For example, one of those references is ground, right? So if you want to create something on the ground, you need a ground level, and we define that ground level in Revit. We call those as levels, and you define one more level up there. You called it first floor level, FFL, right? First floor level. You create a wall having the reference on the from the ground up to the first floor, right? So you create a wall from the ground up to that first floor. One reference would be that ground level, and the top reference would be the first floor level. So this is what the levels are. These are sort of secured and references. And one more thing is there, these are examples what datum elements are. So one of those elements examples are actually the levels. So levels are the references for us in Revit to model something, right? Similarly, we have grids. Grid lines are those lines. For example, if I want to create a grid, some sort of grid here, those are made of some vertical lines and some horizontal lines. Both are horizontals, but one is in one direction, for example x direction, and other is in y direction, right? This is y direction, for example, plan in a plan view, in a top view, and this is x direction. So some elements are in x direction, some are in y direction, and we create some sort of grid, and this grid is actually utilized while modeling a structural elements. For example, beams, columns. So beams, columns are those elements which are made, okay, which we place by referencing those data, by referencing those points there, right? Those grid points. So you see that those grid lines are crossing each other at certain points. For example, those common intersection points are there, and we sort of place structural elements, for example, columns, beams, by referencing those points, right? If I want to create a column, I need to snap that point. It automatically snaps that point. I pick a column, I snap a point, and I place it. So we will deal with it in Revit as we go deep into this, but I'm giving you a sort of idea what actually are the datum elements. So we have categorized elements into three. First are the model elements. Model elements are those which actually create the 3D models. Data model elements are those which help us to create that 3D model, which act as references, grids, labels, right? And those are called as datum elements. And the third category is view specific elements. View specific elements are those elements which we display in one view, which won't be available in the other. For example, so view specific elements are text nodes. tags, dimensions, those dimension lines. For example, if I have created a plan in Revit, these are four walls, right? For example, I have created a ground level or side plan of a building, and I want to have the dimensions for these. So I will simply create one dimension line, for example, of 30 feet of this side, and I will create another dimension line from this side of 40 feet, for example. तो यहाँ पे क्या हो रहा है कि हमने दो sides, we have actually snapped those 2 points, right, for dimension lines. So those dimension lines are actually the view specific elements, those elements which are associated to some specific view. This is a, for example, side plan, and I have created those two dimension lines inside plan, right? But if I want to create an elevation now, if I want to show an elevation now in some other sheet, then this is one view, this is another view, this is a top view, this is a plan view, but this one is elevation view, and I haven't created any dimension line in this view. I need to create one in order to show dimensions for this as well. For example, if I want to show up the dimensions there for this elevation, I need to create dimension lines again in this view. That is why we call those as view specific elements, because the dimension lines which I have created in this plan view won't be available here. I need to create one more. I need to create another dimension lines there in order to represent this view, right? So for example, if I want to describe as a plan, my plan, right, and I want to describe this as an elevation, so I have written that elevation, that text node there. That text node won't be available here. I need to create one for this, and I will write an elevation. So these are few specific elements, for example, text nodes, tags, dimension lines. So I have a category. So Revit actually has three categories of elements. First is model elements, second is datum elements, third is view specific elements. And remember that everything is made of elements. And we call those elements as families in Revit. Remember